What shocking family secret did you uncover? These people found out the truth, and it changed everything. I thought my sister was a millionaire's wife until I found her OnlyFans. My sister always seemed like the successful one. Great grades, perfect body, almost a beauty queen, and of course married to the dream guy. He was older, owned some business, with pics of yachts, villas, shopping in Milan. They looked like a magazine cover. Mom gushed, "If only you could land a catch like that." My sister often helped us with money, sometimes a lot. No one asked where it came from. We were just grateful. Then one day, someone sent me a link. "Hey, isn't this her?" I opened it. An OnlyFans profile, no face, but I knew. Her birthmark, her voice, the apartment in the background, 100,000 subscribers, tens of thousands of likes, hundreds of comments. I froze. First shock, then admiration. She didn't just survive, she built her life. The husband, a cover, a convenient story. When I asked, she didn't deny it, just said, "Don't tell mom. She loves thinking I'm a princess, not a businesswoman." Ironically, she's still the family's pride, just not the one they imagine. I landed my dream job, but my dad secretly paid my salary. When I got hired at the company I dreamed of since high school, I couldn't believe my luck. Great team, cool office, solid paycheck. Everyone welcomed me warmly, and I felt like I'd finally found my place. My parents were proud, especially my dad. He kept saying he always knew I'd make it. A few months later, I was out drinking with his friend, who, a bit tipsy, let slip, "Your dad really pulled some strings." For a gig like that, with a salary from day one, generous. At first I didn't get it, but then I started digging. Turns out my dad didn't just help, he made it happen. The boss was his old college buddy, and for the first few months, my dad was secretly paying my salary through the accounting department. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. "I just wanted you to have a good start," he said. "The rest is up to you." But I felt sick. Everything I thought was my success was staged. Now I look at myself differently, like nothing's real. Our family stew was just $1.79 canned from Walmart. We had this special family recipe, Grandma's Goulash. We made it for holidays, Dad's birthday, or just when we wanted something homey and real. Everyone said it was an old recipe passed down through the women in our family from my great-grandma. My sister and I even wrote down how Mom made it to keep the tradition alive. When I went to college, I wanted to cook it myself. I called Mom and she sent me the ingredient list. One thing stood out, a specific brand of canned stew. "No substitutes," she said. I didn't think much of it. Found it at Walmart, cheap, like $2. When I opened it, I realized this was the secret ingredient. That exact taste I knew from childhood. The one we all raved about as homemade. I called Mom and asked her straight up. She laughed. "It's good, right? Why make it harder?" Our whole family tradition was just a $2 can, and no one ever thought to tell me the truth. My mom married a man who killed his wife, and she knew it. When my mom met my stepdad, I was 12. He seemed quiet, humble, fixed our sink, helped with repairs, brought us pies. It took me a while to warm up, but he tried to fit into our family. They got married a year later. He rarely talked about his past. Mom dodged those conversations too, just saying he'd been through a lot. Then one day, I googled his name, don't even know why. The first link was a court report, murder, his wife, a case from 10 years ago. He served time and got out early for good behavior. I was stunned, thought it was a mistake. I showed my mom, she stared at the screen, stayed quiet, then said, "I knew." I was floored. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because he's changed. Now I live with a man who killed his wife, and a mom who thought I didn't need to know." I thought my uncle was mute for 3 years. Until I heard him talking on the phone. After my grandma died, my uncle moved in with us. He didn't speak at all. Mom said he had severe PTSD, that he'd been through something awful and couldn't talk. We treated him gently. No one pushed him to communicate. He'd nod, shake his head, or write notes. Sometimes he'd just lock himself in his room. 3 years went by. One day I came home early. I heard a man's voice from the kitchen, laughing, chatting on the phone. I peeked in. It was my uncle, talking freely, confidently, like it was nothing. I didn't say anything, just waited till he hung up. When he saw me, he froze. I stayed quiet. He stayed quiet. Later, my mom admitted she'd figured it out a while back. "He just didn't want to work," she said. So he lived with us, no responsibilities. I felt bad for him. Felt bad? I felt bad for 3 years of lies. Every gesture, every note, every time I thought he was suffering. My brother was secretly dating our cousin for 3 whole years. My brother and I always got along great. We shared everything, laughed together, grew up side by side. He's 5 years older, and I always saw him as honest, real. When he started dating someone, he kept her name a secret. Said stuff like, "You don't know her. It's complicated. I'll tell you later." I didn't push. Figured he'd open up when he was ready. 3 years later, it came out by accident. I saw them at the mall, holding hands. It was our cousin, our actual cousin, Mom's sister's daughter. I was stunned. He saw me, came over, and just said, "We love each other. We don't care what anyone thinks." I went home and told our parents. Mom sat on the couch, hands over her face. "I suspected," she whispered, "but I didn't want to know for sure." Dad just left the room. They'd hidden it from everyone for 3 years. Now the family's split. Some say love trumps everything. Others say it's too much. And I just can't wrap my head around how my brother, the most honest guy I knew, kept this from me. I found out my uncle won $12 million. From a YouTube video, I stumbled across him in a random YouTube video. 10 people who became millionaires and lost everything. And there was my uncle, young, wild, posing in front of a yacht. The win, $12 million from the lottery. Next clips, court, debt, divorce, bankruptcy. Then an interview captioned, "Lives with brother, works as a security guard." I was shocked. I showed my parents. They just shrugged. "Oh yeah, that's Bobby. It happened." "It happened?" I said. "He was a millionaire." They glanced at each other. Guess it never came up. Never came up. Like we casually chat about family members who squandered fortunes. Now, every time my uncle says, "Money isn't everything," I want to snap back, especially when you don't have it anymore. I was making a slideshow for Mom's birthday and found her in bed with 2 men. I was looking for an old photo of Mom for a slideshow for her birthday. Found a box of film slides and decided to scan them. The first one, Mom, Dad, and some other guy. All 3 hugging, smiling, in bed. I thought, mistake, prank, maybe a movie scene, but it got worse. Photo after photo, vacations for 3, breakfast together, playing Monopoly without clothes. Handwritten caption, "Our summer, 1987. I didn't say anything, just scanned them and saved them separately. A week later at the family dinner, I showed the slideshow. At the end, I slipped in that photo, no comment. Mom choked. Dad said, "Told you she'd find it." Then they both looked at me and said in unison, "You're not grossed out, are you?" I thought my dad was a poor mechanic. Turns out he was rich and laundering money. My whole life, I thought my dad was a mechanic. He had a small auto shop, worked with some guy 10 years older. Barely any customers, but it stayed afloat somehow. He'd come home tired, smelling of oil, eating quietly. Sometimes he'd stay late to finish a car, and we didn't ask questions. We lived simply. Mom counted every penny. I thought that's just how families were. When Dad died, I went through his papers to help Mom. Taxes, accounts, that kind of thing. On his laptop, I found an encrypted folder. I cracked it, almost by accident. Inside, dozens of transactions, transfers, names, weird websites, investments, crypto, detailed chats with strangers. Dad was cooking the books. He had money, big money. I don't know what he really did. I don't know why he hid it. I don't know why he let us think we were scraping by. Sometimes I fall asleep wondering, and I realize I'll never fully know the man I grew up with. I uploaded my photo and found a copy of myself with the same birthday. It started as a joke. I saw a TikTok about people finding lookalikes online, so I tried it. Uploaded an old school photo to a face recognition site. A few minutes later, it found a guy. He was my twin, exactly like me. I checked his profile. Same age, same birthday, same state. I thought it was a prank or someone stealing my pics, but the deeper I dug, the clearer it got. This wasn't a coincidence. He had a different family, different parents. I messaged him. We talked. We sound the same, think the same. We're waiting for official DNA results, but it's obvious. We were switched at birth. Neither of our parents knew. My mom cried when I told her. His still don't know. We're trying to figure out how we lived 25 years in the wrong families and never even felt it. My sister is marrying my ex, and everyone in the family knew. We dated for almost 2 years. It wasn't crazy love, but I thought we were serious. He hung out at our house a lot, got along with my parents, and especially my sister. They'd chat for hours, and I was happy they clicked. After we broke up, we barely talked. I left it in the past. 6 months later, my sister invited me to a family dinner, said she had big news. She was getting married. I was genuinely happy and asked who the guy was. She hesitated, then showed me a photo. It was him, my ex. I got up and left the table. Didn't even know if I felt angry, betrayed, or just embarrassed. Later I found out my parents knew for a while, but they chose not to tell me. We didn't want to ruin the wedding, Mom said. I still don't know how to deal with this. My grandpa was always called a hero until I found out who he really was. In our family, Grandpa was always a hero, a veteran, strong, quiet. On Memorial Day, we hung his photo by the door. Dad always said, if you want to know honor, ask Grandpa. He died when I was 17. After the funeral, I helped Grandma clean the garage. In an old military suitcase, I found an envelope. Inside, letters, newspaper clippings, a note from a woman I didn't know. Everything pointed to him not being a hero. He deserted, changed his name, moved to another state. He had another family, a wife, 2 kids. While he lived with us, he sent them money under a fake name. I didn't tell anyone. Even when Dad kept calling him a role model, I just stopped responding when I heard the word hero. My aunt gave birth to my brother, and no one told us. I have an older brother, 10 years older. We never fought over toys. He taught me to ride a bike, read me comics, covered for me when I skipped class. He was always the big brother in every way, joking, protecting. My parents never gave any hint something was off. When my brother turned 30, his wife got him a DNA kit for fun. A few weeks later, he called me in a panic. His results didn't match our parents. We thought the lab messed up. He retested. I tested too to compare. We were related, but not like full siblings. We went to our parents. Mom was quiet at first, then said, "You weren't born to us. My younger sister gave birth to you. She was 19, had serious health issues. She died when you were 6 months old. We took you in, made it official. No one else knew. Those who did are gone. And then 10 years later, we had your brother. We thought it was better if you just believed you were ours." The irony? He's still ours, but now that the truth's out, we all breathe a little easier. I caught my dad living a second life as someone else's father. I went to the DMV to update my license after a move and accidentally saw a list of cars registered under our last name. One VIN matched the car I drove with my dad as a teen, but the address was different and the owner's name was slightly off. I checked the address, found the car, and waited. A few hours later, Dad came out with an 8-year-old girl. They were laughing. He carried her backpack, just a normal family. On social media, a different last name, a different wife, kids. All this time, he said he was working shifts, gone a month at a time. When he was away, Mom and I waited for calls. Sometimes he didn't even call. He missed my graduation, said he couldn't get off work. Later, I realized he had another kid born that day. He skipped my 16th birthday, no signal. Missed my games, Christmas. I thought he was busy. It was just his other life schedule. I didn't know if I should tell Mom. When I finally did, I expected shock, but she just looked at me and said calmly, "Yeah, I knew, but it's easier this way. He always comes back, and I'm still the first." I didn't respond. Maybe it works for her, but I'm still angry, not for the cheating, for him choosing to be a dad somewhere else. I'll never forgive that, and I don't want to. I thought she was my sister until I saw my birth certificate. My relationship with my sister was always weird. She's 16 years older. She drove me to school, checked my homework, banned late video games. We even shared a room for a while. I didn't get why back then. She acted like a second mom, but sometimes she'd snap, like I reminded her of something she couldn't shake. Mom never scolded her, always backed her up. At 18, I needed my birth certificate for FAFSA. I'd never seen it. Mom kept all the documents. Under mother, it listed my sister's name. I thought it was a mistake. Then I found an old medical record. Pregnancy, 15 years old. Gave birth the same year I joined the family. Grandparents registered me as theirs. Everyone knew, except me. My mom was a perfect housewife and someone else's lover. My mom always said she was a housewife. She cooked, cleaned, drove us to school and back. Dad worked 2 days on, 2 off at a local auto shop carrying the family. We lived simply. Old house, peeling paint, constant garage sales, used cars, frozen meals. When Mom died of a stroke at 26, I handled the paperwork, closed her accounts, checked her email, canceled subscriptions. Then I found a folder. Inside, dozens of photos. Hotels, restaurants, bags, tickets, transfers, payments under her maiden name, from different men, and a secret Gmail, dozens of chats. In one, she wrote, "Family's stable." I say I just run a mom blog. She led a double life for over 12 years. Dad never found out. I didn't tell him, and I won't. Parents who regret having children. And what happened, and how do you live with that regret? He calls me mom, and every time I hear it, I flinch. He's healthy, smart. He doesn't do anything terrible. He's just a child, but I've never felt love. Since the day he was born, I kept waiting for that feeling everyone swore would come. It never did. I did everything right. I fed him, held him, rocked him to sleep, smiled when he smiled, but none of it felt real. I'm just tired, irritated. People say you must love your child, that if you don't, you're a monster. But what if I'm not a monster? What if I'm just not made for this? When he laughs, I laugh back. When he cries, I comfort him. But it's not love, it's work. He feels like someone else's kid, a stranger I have to raise. And the worst part? A few weeks ago, I left him in the car. Not on purpose, I just forgot. 15 minutes inside a store. No car seat. No goodbye. No panic until I came back. I stood there by the car, staring at him through the window. And all I could think was, I don't deserve to be his mother. I didn't cry. I didn't even shake. I just realized how far gone I was. I can care for him, protect him, even laugh with him. But love, I don't know what that is anymore. And I'm terrified nothing will ever change. I had my first baby young, and at first, it was magical. I had help. People brought meals. I got likes on every photo, but then came my second. Way too soon. Totally unplanned. And the second I held her, I knew something had cracked. I wasn't ready. I was already drowning. The support disappeared. The friends disappeared. Even my own mom stopped asking how I was. I failed everything after diapers. My youngest started vanishing for days when she was 13. I didn't even notice the first few times. I couldn't. I was already in a fog of numbness and guilt and exhaustion. Now I just count the years. 5 more, then 4, then 3, and maybe one day I'll remember who I was before I had kids. Sometimes I just stare at my kids and feel absolutely nothing. No joy, no warmth, no interest. They're not bad kids, they love me, but it's like they're on the other side of a wall. I smile, I talk to them, I even play sometimes, but inside there's just this silence. I don't know if it's depression or burnout or something broken in me, but I sit beside them, rub their backs, tell them I love them, and think about running away. I'm scared of what that means, because I'm still here. I still show up, but not as a mother, just as a shell, and one day, they'll know. I said yes to kids because I didn't want to lose her. She lit up when she talked about having a family, and I was already in love. So I said sure, even though I never wanted this. Now we have 2 amazing kids, and I'm a ghost in my own life. Every game of catch, every school event, every bedtime story. I'm there, but not there. They look at me like I'm their hero, and I feel like an actor reading lines. I don't resent them, but I mourn myself. There was a man I used to be. Now he just lives in the gaps between diaper changes. I didn't want to be a mom. I just didn't have a way out. I was broke, alone, and when I found out, it was too late. I couldn't afford an abortion. My family wouldn't support me. The father vanished, so I had the baby. He's sweet, kind, clingy, and I look at him and feel guilt all the time because he deserves more than a mother who wakes up every day thinking, I shouldn't be here. I don't yell. I don't hit. I just survive, and I hope that's enough, but I know it's not. I'm disabled. I thought I could handle fatherhood. I wanted to believe love would be enough. But when he started walking, I realized I couldn't chase him, couldn't lift him fast, couldn't even drive if something happened. I can't be the dad I promised I'd be. My wife is drowning in work. I'm drowning in shame. He's only 3, and he already knows I can't keep up. When he runs toward danger, it's not me who saves him, it's her. He'll grow up remembering me in a chair, always watching, never reaching, and I hate myself for it. My son was born premature. It was a traumatic birth. The NICU, the wires, the beeping. I didn't sleep for days, and we made it, but something in me didn't come back. I became his full-time caregiver, therapist, advocate, and somewhere in that, I stopped being a person. He needs everything, every minute, every drop of energy, and I give it, but I feel like I've died a little. Sometimes I cry in the laundry room for no reason. Sometimes I stare at the wall for hours. Sometimes I forget my own name. I love him, I do, but I don't exist anymore. I didn't want a baby, but I couldn't say no to my husband, to my parents, to everyone who said I'd regret it if I didn't. I remember the moment he was born. Everyone around me cried, and I just felt like the air left my lungs. He's not a bad kid. He's just not mine. Not really. I care for him. I keep him safe. I smile in photos, but he's a symbol of everything I gave up. Not something I ever asked for, and he'll never know that, because I'll never say it. I dreamed of being a mom. I read all the books. I made a vision board. board. I painted the nursery myself, and then I had him. The birth was hard, breastfeeding was harder, he never slept, and by the time he turned 2, I was already broken. No one tells you that love isn't always enough. I was surviving on 4 hours of sleep, no support, no hobbies, no friends. One day I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize my face. It hit me. I got everything I asked for, and I still hated my life. I don't hate motherhood, but I miss myself. I miss listening to music without being interrupted. I miss wearing white. I miss having a body that belongs to me. Now I'm just utility, feeder, cleaner, driver, therapist, assistant. Everyone talks about how beautiful motherhood is, but no one talks about how it erases you, and I don't know if I'll ever come back. I forgot him in the car. 15 minutes. A warm day. I went into the store like I always do, and halfway through the produce aisle, I froze. I had no stroller, no diaper bag, no sound. I ran back. He was asleep, safe, and I realized I wasn't. That night I packed a bag, kissed him, and left. Not because I didn't love him, but because I couldn't survive loving him anymore. I wasn't a mother. I was a shell waiting to shatter. And the scariest part, he didn't cry when I left. My child died in his sleep. No warning, no noise. I got the call. I drove. I saw the cops, the ambulance, my ex screaming, and I felt nothing. I stood there, surrounded by people falling apart, and all I could think was, why don't I feel anything? He was my son. I should be sobbing, screaming, collapsing, but there was just silence. I started remembering all the times I was near him but not present, all the fake smiles, the forced weekends, the autopilot, and now he's gone. And I don't miss him because I never really had him. Only guilt remains. I wanted a daughter. Since I was a child, I dreamed about her, the name, the dresses, the bond, and then I had a boy. The moment I heard it's a boy, something in me broke. Everyone around me cheered. I smiled, but I felt like I lost someone I'd known my whole life. He's beautiful, curious, sweet, but every time he reaches for me, I see her, the girl who never came. I try, God, I try, but it always feels like he's borrowing space in my life, like he's the placeholder for someone who never existed, and that's the ugliest thing I've ever admitted, but it's the truth. Thank you for watching, and if you've ever regretted becoming a parent, tell us why in the comments. No judgment, just honest.